Hello everybody, welcome to another vlog thing, producing and editing for PBG's Hardcore. This time we're going to talk about MineZ Season 2. I was going to do it as a combo thing in the last video, but I don't know how long that one's going to be after I edit it, so instead I made another one. This is, whatever, this is coming up just a few days after the other one, so if you wanted to watch that one too, check it out, it's on Terraria 2. But MineZ Season 2. MineZ was an very interesting project because going into it, I definitely had one major thing that I wanted to do that had nothing to do with anybody else in terms of how the season went. I wanted to do more with the map, and I'd watched Game of Thrones and stuff, and I freaking love the intro. I love the 3D camera panning over all of Westeros and all the 3D, the wall being up and every piece of Winterfell? I don't remember what anything's. I just watched this show a week ago. Anyway, the places, all the buildings and crap, right? They're 3D, it's cool, and everyone likes it. And obviously I wasn't gonna be able to do all that for Hardcore. I don't have the budget for that. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Sorry guys. But one of my personal complaints with MineZ before becoming an anybody was I didn't know what the hell anything was. It was Jeff made this really cool intro thing that I loved, where it was you zoom in the clouds and then that's actually part of where I got the original idea for the slide-in that the overlay does now, which I talked about in the original producing and editing video. But I was like, let's level that up. Let's as is pretty much everything about the current way that Hardcore works. It's built off of the original ideas that Austin and Jeff implemented in the series, because that's how good shows work. So I went through and I went to the MineZ map website, and I was like, what can I do with this? And thinking back, I wish I had just taken the entire thing at zoom level 3 and just composited the entire map. Because what I ended up doing was using what I would do is I would take there's the one full map, right? You zoom all the way out on this map page and you can see the whole map, and that's one major picture. And I don't know if I used that more than once. It's mostly just personal, so I could chart out where they went. But from then on, I would go into zoom 3 or 5 or something like that. Take it, find a point in between whatever we're focusing on. Take 4 screenshots to make the bigger piece, and then pan the camera over that and whatnot. And so you've obviously, I assume you've seen the season, so you've seen the effect, and it was kind of it would pan over, and then it would go for the zoom in, and then Jack, our I guess associate editor, I don't know, he just does a special effects things whenever we need him to. He also is an editor for PB and Jeff, and he's a big After Effects guy, so I asked him if he could make me a cool particle effect cloud thing based on Jeff's original idea, but with the intention of the zoom in, clouds parting away and zooming in, and that masked this transition to a fully zoomed or almost fully zoomed in piece of the map. So you had this very clear vision of where they were going, and then that would fade in to everybody walking around. So you got this very personal, from personal to contextual to personal zoom in from where they were on the map into where they were in the, literally where they were in the physical space. And I thought that was important. People seem to like it. I can never tell because everybody's very nice, which I appreciate, very kind. I appreciate that, but I'm also did it work though? I assume it did. It worked for me. I was cool, I know where everything is all the time. I was by the time that they're at Tristitia, it's everybody probably know exactly where everybody's been. They know the path that they've all taken because I've shown it multiple times, and I would use the map to hide very long periods of nothing happening, a lot of inventory management. I would cut over that and just splice the dialogue together of them talking about wherever they're going or their recent, concerns or the fact that Dean died or whatever. And, we'd have like the little air, like the road with like the dot along it. And that would be masking various boring parts of the season, which I think resulted in a very well-paced season. I think I was really pleased with it when I got it. Before I'd even touched it at all. I was like, oh, nice, like stuff happens. There's a lot of really good scares, a lot of great foreshadowing with falling in general. There's two really nice falls up until the end, obviously, and because falling was sort of the primary concern based on the goal, which was to get to the floating isles. It was great that some cool falling stuff happened throughout the season. And it's the kind of thing, like, this is the sort of stuff that that I think about, which I'm always like, who cares about this? And I'm like, well, this is literally what the video is about, so I assume if you're here, you care about it. But like that's a major part of working with what is ostensibly a reality show, is like, all I can do is find connections between what happens and what could happen and what people expect to happen. I can't write any of it, not really anyway. Like, even, going forward where there's going to be more nifty stuff happening for Minecraft Season 6, that will take advantage of a broader aspect of Minecraft's capabilities and all these various things. It's the kind of thing where, like, I still can't and won't. I refuse to dictate how things should go. Everything should be natural. Reactions should be natural. Expectations should be natural. And the quote-unquote plot should be natural. So, like, ideally, there would have been lots of falling deaths up until the floating isle. I would have been like, that's super cool, because, it's like this foreshadowing thing or whatever. It would, like, solidify the danger of floating isles going forward, because, you see how quickly you can die just from a misstep or whatever. But both parties kind of ran into their own heights-based, fears and challenged them naturally. And that was so cool. Like, I don't know if that's something that they discussed beforehand, because Austin, every once in a while, like, Austin will be like, hey, like, let's try this, so that things are still natural, but, like, that's just who he is he's like, let's make it entertaining. And that's what the show kind of has to be about that, because in theory, it's MineZ, right? Like, they could have just sat there building up supplies and boring safe places for as long as possible, but that's not interesting, it's not entertaining. So, the fact that cool things that were thematically relevant happened naturally was awesome, because that's just something I can work with, and that's something that people can get excited about and have fun with, and that the cast can be afraid of, and that's what we're here for. Like, that's what hardcore is all about. So all the like Jared almost which, if you watch the footage when Jared falls, and I did that cliffhanger, which again people were like counting blocks, they're like, oh, he's not gonna die, which he didn't. Thank you for spoiling that. Which is another thing. If you look at the footage, McJones clearly pushed him. Like, and maybe they're not used to it, because it's a pretty recent change. But like now in Minecraft, you can't occupy like the same space anymore. So you push other. There's a collider there, so you push other people out of the space. And McJones is like inching towards the ledge as Jared walks in front of him, but McJones keeps walking forward, and then he definitely just pushes Jared off, which is funny because he never says anything about it, not in anything I cut or elsewise. But watching the footage back, if you just slow it down, even in the video, you can tell that Jared was not walking off. He just, like, McJones was like boop on accident, which is really funny. But anyway, that was really exciting. And then like Jones just fails that jump spectacularly, which I think was actually because of lag. Like, you can watch in everyone's perspective that his character goes like boop, 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 like it's not one smooth motion, and they were experiencing a lot of lag at the time. So it was a pretty basic jump. Just go to the end of the bar and jump off of it. But then no one ever tried it again because it was scary, and like no one had freaking grappling hooks like McJones did. Which was a fun little twist, even though, it was in his menu screen, but a lot of people probably just thought it was a fishing rod for some reason. But that was a lot of fun. Like, I really like that, and you know, everything going up to the end, like, oh my god, the end was so exciting. It was so great. Just everybody just falling, just literally falling, or like just getting destroyed, I mean, left and right. And you know, as people in the audience pointed out, like, obviously they shouldn't be standing around in a you know, pig zombie spawner, but you know, they're frazzled and like they don't know. This is fun. Like, this is the fun of MineZ, is like they play it enough but not a lot, and like they played it back then but not as much recently, and so like it's just like, whoa, like what's different, what's changed, and then they're experiencing that live on the fly, and it totally results in this really exciting game experience. And like that's part of the fun of hardcore is that they are inexperienced and experienced. But then obviously, like, we had our first like player caused death, which was, you know, a hotly discussed and debated aspect of the show. And we you know, we don't really need to go into everything about it, because it was, you know, in part it was my fault for announcing that we were going to do MineZ at all. Because even though Austin had promised it, like, the fact that we said, you know, when it's going to be out, like, apparently there, you know, there was like a group of people who had been watching, who like watch the Minecraft accounts and like, you know, the MineZ servers, and they could see when all of the various players on hardcore were on it. And so, you know, that resulted in like, there was an awareness that the show was going on, and a couple times like messages got through that I didn't notice because the font is like gray and like that game is so freaking dark. You know, that people were clearly messaging the players and like saying like, oh, like basically it was just an indication that they knew what was going on. But like, full disclosure, nothing like super untoward happened. It was like, they chose to attack this guy. The guy was clearly like trying to be friends, and then they said they just bum rushed him anyway, and he seemed to have like 80,000 things on him, and McJones died. And like, you know, it's again, like, all the stuff surrounding it notwithstanding, it's exactly what MineZ, it's what happens in MineZ. Like, regardless of whether or not people were aware that there was this show going on, and you know, and what our expectation of that is, that's what happened. And he died, and it was funny. I mean, I think it was pretty good. It was like bum rush this guy, and you know, it's Mick Jones, right? So he's like, oh, you know, you expect Mick Jones to really win, and then you see just how that's how intense MineZ is like, other people have been there longer, like they got more stuff. But I don't know. It's like, okay, cool. That was the experience. And like, they ran away, and there was the giants and everything, and it was very tense. So like, regardless of all the other stuff, it was cool. I think it was good for it was a cool thing that happened in the show, in the season, in the episode, and it transitioned nicely into everybody going to meet their doom. So, like, long term, you know, MineZ is interesting, right? Because it's on this public server, and like, we are doing the show more often, and you know, how is it, you know, working with quote unquote, you know, random strangers who sometimes know about the show, because that server is not quite as popular as it used to be. And like, mine, you know, hardcore has a decent draw to it, so like, people who are on that server probably know about the show if they watch YouTube, and it's like, that's just a reasonable assumption, and it can happen, and like, you know, it'll have effects on the show if we do it again. And I don't know, I think one of the things I'm really learning about doing all this production stuff with the internet is that you have to, you know, I have to account for what the internet wants to do. And I can have all these ideas about how the internet should behave, but it has nothing to do with how they're going to behave. And, you know, we have to work within that. We have to work within an understanding of what people will do naturally, especially when they are, you know, if they are fans, or if they are the audience, or if, you know, they are really excited. And what we learned from this is that we want to find a way to, you know, like, in the future, have a hardcore that does include randos and strangers and people from the audience. Like, that would be something that we would love to do. We have to figure out how to do it, and I'm not saying we're going to do it, but it's something that we have never explored before, and it's something that we can explore, you know. And like, looking at MineZ, like, there might be some way to work within it with that, or there might be something that we could create on our end to make a kind of a fun experience that involves the fans. So who knows? You know, I mean, like that's what's really important about that's what these videos are for, is to reflect on everything as things have come out. Like, I really like the editing effects that I put in for MineZ, and then I also learned all this stuff about having this show be on a public server, and like that's cool. So it was the kind of thing where like MineZ really taught me a lot, and like Terraria 2 taught me a lot, and you know, going into Minecraft Season 6, like, it's cool, it's good, it's nice to have worked with my workflow so many times now, like 3 full seasons. It's getting quicker. I'm much quicker at editing and moving things along and finding out what's important, and spending my time effectively so that there's the optimum amount of edits and jokes and, like, you know, all the montages and stuff in the season that people enjoy, you know. And ultimately, like, we just want to make sure that we keep doing things that are interesting and that are new, and especially with Minecraft, like, we had not tapped into the potential of Minecraft, and a lot of people have been asking for years for like mods and stuff, and you know, none of them really did mods. I think McJones does some stuff with mods, but you know, like McJones has a job, so it's the kind of thing where like Austin and Jeff didn't have time for that kind of stuff, and now it's my job. So I can look into all these different ways that we can improve not just Minecraft, but like, you know, yeah, so what could we do with MineZ? What could we do maybe with other games? I don't know. And I mean, that's only half true. I know what we're doing for next season, but I don't know, you know, what else we could do, how big we could get. And everything changes when new games come out, you know? People have talked about or have asked about like 7 Days to Die. And I don't know. Is that good enough short term? Do we have to create a custom server with our own parameters? Is that a thing we can do in 7 Days to Die? I don't know yet. Jeff has mentioned doing Ark at some point. That'd be cool. Apparently, though, it's a very unevenly paced game. So it's the kind of thing where like, we're exploring all these things, and I'm glad that I got to do MineZ, because this was a really fun season. I think it was like a good learning experience, but like, just the ending was so cool. It was so much fun. It was such a fun ending. But I'm very, very excited for next season. I think people are really gonna enjoy it. And like, so like at the end of MineZ 2, you know, we said like hardcore, or Minecraft hardcore season 6 fall 2017, hardcore gets twisted, and then like people were like theorizing all these different things about it, which I love how engaged our audience is. But you mean it's not supposed to be a secret. That's my laugh. That's me laughing. And so I will say this much: we're not doing like a traitor thing where I'm the traitor, because like I would have just telegraphed that. Like, that wouldn't make any sense. You know, give us some credit, guys. Like, we're gonna do. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. And obviously, we'll be looking to everybody to give us feedback. I know we're gonna get stuff in the moment. People are gonna be mad, or they might be mad. I don't know. I keep thinking people will be mad about stuff, and everyone just likes the things that we've done. So I don't know. Maybe I need to give you guys a more benefit of the doubt too. That or myself, that I'm doing things that people like. But either way, like, I'm sure we'll get tons of feedback, but I'm really, really excited to see how people react to the new stuff. And, you know, if people like it, like, oh man, we will have, you know, hardcore will be a much larger, much more exciting project to work on, and a much more exciting show to watch. And it will be, you know, because we want it to be sustainable. We want to keep doing hardcore until YouTube decides to off itself. Or until people stop liking it. And, you know, I don't want that to ever be my fault. I want to make sure that we're not getting lazy, you know, and just relying on clicks. Like, okay, well, everybody's gonna watch PBG play Minecraft with whomever. Like, let's get Tom Cruise on the show. You know, that'd be amazing. But like, that shouldn't be the only draw. It should be a great show regardless of who's on it. I guess that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed MineZ Season 2, and I really hope that you guys will enjoy Minecraft Season 6, and that will be out in fall of this year. So we'll see you guys later.